This is the RENAULT R5 E-TECH ELECTRIC. In this video, I want to find out its real-world range in real-life driving conditions. I'm going to test the range in the city, on the highway and on regional roads to figure out the minimum and maximum driving range. I also wanted to know how long it takes to charge the battery at a fast charger. For that, we are heading to a DATS24 fast charging hub. DATS24 is also the sponsor of this video. If you're curious about my impressions of this car, make sure to watch until the end of my review. The RENAULT R5 E-TECH ELECTRIC is an electric car equipped with a 400-volt nickel-manganese cobalt battery. Our test car was the Techno Comfort Range version with 150 horsepower. You can buy this from 33,100 euros in Belgium, and it has a battery with a capacity of 52 kilowatt hours. The combined WLTP range is 410 kilometers. The output is 150 horsepower, which takes it from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 8 seconds. Also important to mention, this model supports DC fast charging. Not every version of the R5 can do this, and I would definitely recommend choosing a model that supports fast charging. In addition, the test car was also equipped with a heat pump, which has a positive effect on consumption. It was also running on all-season tires on the 18-inch rims. Now let's go for a test drive to find out the real-world range. We start the test in the south of Brussels, in Drogenbos. We will drive past Brussels south towards the city center and the northeast of the city. The first part of the drive was very busy city traffic, stopping and starting at relatively low speeds. The first 7 kilometers I drove in D mode. However, there is a more efficient B mode with regenerative braking, so I drove the remaining 14 kilometers in the city in B mode. I did the test in May and it was sunny and around 22 degrees. After driving 21 kilometers, we have our first figure. The consumption comes in at 12.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. If we calculate a consumption of 12.9 kilowatt hours based on the battery capacity, we get an estimated city range of 403 kilometers. That is a more than decent result. Time to leave the city. We take the highway towards Namur with the Ardennes roads as our destination. We drive 120 kilometers per hour where possible, occasionally a bit slower due to roadworks, but overall it's a smooth drive. After 101 kilometers on the highway, we check again. The consumption is 16.2 kilowatt hours. As expected, this is quite a bit higher than in the city and gives an estimated highway range of 321 kilometers. During the drive, it was 24 degrees. We have now reached the area around Marche-en-Famenne and we leave the highway. We are now driving on country roads and I also want to feel what the car can do. I drove a bit more sportily for a few kilometers, accelerating more often, and then continued driving calmly again. After just under 16 kilometers on these roads, at 24 degrees, the average consumption is 17.1 kilowatt hours. That is slightly higher than the consumption on the highway. That brings the sporty range to 304 kilometers. I now have an idea of the consumption in the city and on the highway. I'll do the range test on regional roads in a bit, but let's first do a charging test at a fast charger. For this test, I'm stopping by one of the 85 charging hubs of DATS24, the sponsor of this video. Using the DATS24 app, I found a charging hub on my route in Gembloux. Typically for DATS24 charging hubs is that they are all located in retail parking lots, mostly at Colruyt stores, so you can go shopping while charging. The parking spaces at DATS24 are also wider. The charging stations are positioned right between two parking spots and have very long charging cables. This ensures maximum convenience for shopping customers. Tip: you can park nose in, so you can easily unload your shopping cart into the trunk. A charging hub consists of 6 fast charging points with a speed of 150 kilowatts, like here in Gembloux. In addition, there are also 4 standard AC charging points up to 22 kilowatts. At some charging hubs, like the one in Halle, you can fast charge up to 400 kilowatts. Now, what about the charging performance? this R5 E-TECH Electric Techno 150 horsepower comfort range can DC fast charge at a power of 100 kilowatts. Renault says this EV goes from 15% to 80% in 30 minutes. If you are considering another version of the R5, make sure to check its fast charging capabilities, because not every version can fast charge. We are doing the test in warm temperatures of around 27 degrees. At the start of the test, the battery is at 18% and the range indicator shows 82 kilometers. We start charging and after 30 seconds we are charging at a power of 100 kilowatts. After 10 minutes I check again. We are then charging at a speed of 80 kilowatts. In 10 minutes, the battery went from 18% to 47%. In total, we already gained 112 kilometers of range. After 20 minutes, the charging speed has already dropped to 60 kilowatts. The battery went from 47% to 67%. We gained another 80 kilometers of range on the indicator. After 30 minutes, we stopped the test. I noticed that we were only charging at a speed of 41 kilowatts by then. The battery is at 83% and we are at 331 kilometers of range on the indicator. So in 30 minutes we gained 248 kilometers and went from 18% to 83% at 27 degrees. What about AC charging? I can tell you that you can AC charge at 11 kilowatts and the charging time to go from 10% to 100% takes about 4 hours and 30 minutes. Now I want to find out the maximum driving range. For this I'm heading to typical regional roads. Light traffic, no traffic lights, and just cruising smoothly at a constant speed of around 70 kilometers per hour. These are pretty much the ideal conditions. I'm curious to see if this will be even better than the result in the city. After a 44 kilometer drive under these conditions and at temperatures of 26 degrees, I see a consumption of just 9.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Wow, that is really low. If you can maintain this consumption, you're looking at a driving range of 559 kilometers. If you want to review the results of this test at your own pace, just visit my website. There you'll find not only this test, but also range tests for dozens of other cars and nearly 400 test drive videos. So how does it drive? In terms of driving experience, it's a surprisingly fun car to drive. Renault developed the chassis with driving pleasure in mind by choosing a multi-link rear axle, which adds a more dynamic handling experience in sharp corners. It only has 150 horsepower, but it drives a bit like a go-kart, similar to previous generations of the Mini. It was a really hot day during my test. At one point it reached 30 degrees and the grip of the all-season tires in the corners did feel a bit looser then. Driver assistance systems are plenty, but on the upside there's a physical button to instantly turn off all those annoying alerts. The R5 has a really cool look, especially from the outside, but on the inside as well. It's affordable, yet the materials still feel decent. By the way, this R5 is built in France. Fun fact, the production time for this model is only about 9 hours. In terms of interior space, it's good enough. Up front, there is more than enough room. In the back seat, it's tighter for both your legs and head. The luggage space is also compact. There is about 326 liters available in the trunk, which expands to 1,106 liters with the rear seats folded down. While it's all very positive, this R5 does have one major downside. There are 3 stalks on the right side of the steering wheel, a drive selector gear shifter, one for the windshield wipers and one for the audio control. To be honest, I accidentally turned on the wipers a few times when I actually wanted to shift into reverse. It's very annoying, and even after a week I wasn't fully used to it. The audio control stalk isn't positioned very conveniently either. The driving position is also a bit on the high side. Even in the lowest setting, you're still sitting quite high. Another minor point of criticism is that you can't adjust the climate control on the display using touch control, even though you would intuitively expect that on that specific spot. But overall, I'm very positive about this R5. It's not an expensive car, yet it has something authentic about it. There's a nice personality to this car, something that is completely lacking in most Chinese cars, for example. To conclude, the minimum driving range on the highway during my test came out to 321 kilometers at 24 degrees. With sporty driving on country roads, I got an even lower range of 304 kilometers. For the maximum driving range, I reached a solid 559 kilometers on regional roads at 26 degrees. In the city, I could also count on a great range of about 403 kilometers. In practice, it will be somewhere in between for most drivers. In colder temperatures, you will get a bit less range, and in summer, potentially a little bit more. During the fast charging test, we gained 248 kilometers in 30 minutes, going from 18% to 83% at 27 degrees. I know owners watch these kinds of videos too, so definitely let me know your experience with this car's range in the comments. The full specs of the test car and the report can be found on my website. I will put the link below. See you in the next video.